Tijuana, Mexico, just over the border from the United States. Around 50 million people cross over every year for this vibrant mix of culture, tequila, markets and nightlife. But in recent years, it's become popular for medical tourism. And that's what's attracting Kiwis like Colleen Walters.
So you're going to fill it up to the bottom of that ring, like that, yep. This is my dinner. So it's looking like a nice blend. Thank you.
At home in Rotorua, it's mainly milkshakes on the menu for 48-year-old Colleen Walters. She's on liquids to prepare for surgery in just over a week.
It's like mocha. I had big plans of having a big feed, eating all the food that I wanted to eat before I started this journey. But I've left it too late because now I'm in detox and I don't want to bugger it up. So yeah, I feel quite sad inside myself. It's like a funeral. Goodbye to a long lost friend, is what I think.
Food has always been central to Colleen's life, but she admits healthy food hasn't.
Food is a big part of our household. You know. Oh, yummy, who wants snacks? In my house, I'm the person that's in control of the food, who orders the food, who cooks the food. And even though I've got a disability, I try my hardest to do what I can. So I do the shopping for our house. I was brought up with my koro, so I don't know how to cook good meals. I was never taught that. Okay. All he had was fish heads, eels, rotten corn. I'm not even blaming my childhood. I didn't know how to cook good, nutritious food. I think this shot shows my double chins too much.
So I'm doing like this.
Okay. You're trying to cover your double chin.
Even when she was younger, her weight was on her mind.
I've always been a big girl. So when I was younger, and when I got through my teenage years, I always thought I was a big girl, but I don't think so. You know, when I look back at my pictures, I think, no, you weren't that big. But I felt like I was fat. I'd like to say it was genetics, but I love my food. I'm a Māori. I love my food, you know.
A graduate of Te Wānanga Whare Tāpiri o Takitimu, Colleen was actively involved in Māori performing arts. But after her husband died in 2014...
I was just doing everything in excess. Too much drinking booze, too much smoking cigarettes, too much party, too much food. I went to a doctor because my blood pressure was dangerously high, which ended up causing my stroke, which paralysed me down my left side.
Colleen was just 43 years old. She could no longer be as active. The more weight she gained, the harder life became.
Because I lose my balance a lot. So if I fall over, people can't pick me up. You know, I'm just too heavy for that. And that's jolly embarrassing, you know, that I have to ring somebody from St. John's to come and pick me up off the floor. I wear a personal safety alarm. The alarm has been a saver for me. If I fall over, and then I just have to lay there till somebody can actually pick me up off the ground.
Colleen considered getting weight loss surgery.
I talked to my GP in town. He told me that I wasn't eligible for it.
And paying for surgery herself at a private hospital was beyond her means.
Okay. I just thought, I can't afford $22,000. I didn't even have that in my Kiwi saver.
Her only recourse, going overseas. Still thousands of dollars, but almost half the price of surgery here.
Because I know a lot of people that have got it done. All they've said is, you know, I should have got it done earlier. Those kind of comments make me think, you know, I need to do this now.
That's when Colleen applied to access her KiwiSaver funds under a hardship application.
I never ever thought that I would be able to afford anything like this, which really in essence I can't, you know. I've just taken my livelihood, my retirement fund. Good teamwork, though. So, I mean, I'm going to live longer, but I've got no money to live on when I get older.
It's a tough compromise, but with publicly funded surgery so difficult to access in Aotearoa, did Colleen really have a choice?
If I had a choice, I would definitely stay here and have it, because nobody wants to be travelling around with a disability, especially overseas, and spending all that money. I would definitely choose to stay here.
Right. Welcome, Mitch. Our very first, but probably not our last foreign correspondent on Paddy Gower Has Issues. Now, you followed Colleen on her journey. What did you make of her?
Yeah, kia ora, Paddy. Thank you for having me on, and a big thank you to Colleen for sharing her story. Such a personal story that she was willing to share. I think it's important, Paddy, to think about what a big decision this was for someone like Colleen. She talked about different things there. She hasn't travelled very much outside of Australasia before. She has paralysis on her left side from her stroke. She has financial pressures. She had to get her Kiwi saver out. So the fact she thought about all those things, Paddy, and still decided to go overseas illustrates, I think, how important this was to her. While doing this story, we uncovered that there are Facebook groups in New Zealand. People are talking about which KiwiSaver providers are more favourable when it comes to granting hardship applications so people can go overseas or get weight loss surgery here as well. In Colleen's case, she changed KiwiSaver providers so she could get her money out, and that's how she funded her trip. So Colleen has arrived at the hotel here in Tijuana. Her surgery is tomorrow. Hey Colleen, how are you?
Morena.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Mitch.
How's everything going?
Good, thank you, mate.
How are you feeling? A little bit nervous?
A little bit nervous. So surgery tomorrow.
Hopefully it'll give you a new life, right?
I can guarantee it will. My current weight is 144 kgs. So before my stroke, I was only 80 kgs, which is what I'd love to get down to.
How much do you know about the procedure that you're getting tomorrow?
I just know that I'm not quite sure what the words are for it. I know a little bit, enough to know that I'm going to be okay, I think.
Are you looking forward to meeting the doctor?
Yes, I need to meet the doctor.
Yeah.
He's the one chopping into me, you know. I'd love to meet him.
Yeah. So what did it cost you overall to come here?
16,500, and that's including flights and accommodation for myself and a carer.
Yeah. And what would it have cost you to do this at home?
22,000 it would have cost me over there.
You know, what do you think about the health system that you find yourself coming all the way over here to get something done that people get done in New Zealand?
I really think the government needs to take a really good look at it, because, you know, you've got people taking leave from their jobs, taking leave from their families, you know, leaving their kids at home just to get this done, because they're all here by themselves, you know.
Do you see any risks with the surgery tomorrow?
No, because I'm positive about the outcome of everything that's happening.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Did you decide to take out medical insurance coming here?
I didn't, no, I did not. Only because I was still in that same mindset about being positive. Nothing's going to happen. I know that's naive, you know, because coming over on the plane, you know, I was thinking, oh, I can't afford for anything to happen to me. If I get stuck over there, I've got no money to bring myself home.
Colleen travelled to Tijuana as part of a package tour she found on Facebook with a company called Trim Up.
We've just left the hotel and we're off to meet Kirsten Leonard now. Now, Kirsten's from Christchurch, but she owns the company that's brought these New Zealanders here, including Colleen, for this trip.
Kirsten started her medical tourism business after her own surgery here in Tijuana.
What made you think, I'm going to bring other New Zealanders across?
Well, to be honest, it was when I had the surgery, just walking up and down the corridor thinking, look, more people would come over here if they came in a group.
And how has it gone since then? How many people have come over?
Well, I lost count at 150 people.
You brought more than 150 people over?
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously you get paid somehow coming here?
Yes,
how does that work?
I'm a package price, so I'm like if you went on a tour to Europe, you would pay a package price for the guide, so I'm the guide.
So the patients go into the hospital and then what's your role?
Day of hospital is I'm at the hospital from the moment we get there until the last person's out of surgery and that they're comfortable.
Kirsten has seen medical tourism grow exponentially since her own procedure.
In reality, how risky is it to come here and have this done?
No riskier than having it done in New Zealand. You're still going to be prone to a blood clot if you have it in New Zealand. You're still prone to having a blood clot if you have it over here.
And have there been many complications here? Has anything gone really wrong?
There's been complications, but they don't tend to show up until they get back to New Zealand. So we're quite lucky in that respect.
Colleen has been in Mexico for 2 days now,
Hopefully everything's okay.
and her operation is about to get underway.
New Zealand, we are obese. In 1977, just 10% of us were obese, but by 2017, it was 3 times that many, 31%, the third most obese country in the world, behind only the United States and Mexico. Now, last time we counted, in 2021, over 34% of us were considered obese. That's 1 in every 3. That's over 1.4 million adults. That's bad. Now, bariatric surgery is not the only way to lose weight, but it has been proven to be one of the best ways. It helps get weight off, and it really helps keep it off. Now, the bonus, you also reduce a whole range of things like heart problems, liver disease, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and depression. Basically, it saves people. Now, to get this surgery, the key thing is you need to have a body mass index of over 40 or over 35 if you've got complications like diabetes. Now, here is a BMI chart. The green bit shows the healthy range, and as you can see, I'm at 24, healthy, but I've got to work pretty bloody hard to stay there, if I'm honest. Now, you have to be nearly off the chart then to even be eligible for publicly funded bariatric surgery. There is clearly a massive demand out there for it too. About 2,000 people in New Zealand have this surgery each year, but in a good year, only about 500 of those are public. The other 1,500 have to pay for it themselves. $22,000. Now remember, only 294 people got the surgery in the public system last year. 294, an all-time low, despite all of the obese people that we've got out there. There is an argument that it is a good investment. Studies say it pays for itself within 4 years because we're not paying for the huge costs of things like diabetes and heart disease. That's why people really want it, in some cases need it. And that's why we have medical refugees on planes to Mexico, India, Thailand and Turkey right now. Now, I happen to know one of these medical refugees pretty damn well. It's my good friend, Lloyd Burr. Lloydie, my brother from another mother, you've had bariatric surgery. What's it done for you, bro?
Well, Paddy, I've told you this before and I'm stoked I can be here to tell the nation this, but it changed my life. And you asked me to come on your show tonight, and I'm in London, I'm on holiday, but I jumped at this chance. I went to a shop and I bought this. I didn't have to go to Mr. Biggs, I didn't have to go to Mr. Chunky's. I went and got a normal jacket from a normal shop. That's the kind of dignity that it provides. And I didn't do this on a whim. I went to Turkey and got this done for 5,000 New Zealand dollars. I talked to a few people before I did this though, and they'd spend up to 30,000 New Zealand dollars, sometimes 30,000 Australian dollars to get this done. I'd seen the change that it had in their life. It saved me a lot in terms of medication. I don't get gout as much as I used to anymore. And it blows my mind that the New Zealand government doesn't actually do this for a lot of people. This is an investment in people. It's bonkers it's not funded more widely, and it's bonkers that people have to go to places like Mexico and Turkey to get this done.
All right, Lloyd, thank you so much, and get back to your holiday.
Tijuana, a skyline of hotels and hospitals. Many crossing the border between the United States and Mexico are coming for cheap prescription drugs and medical care. But is this low-cost medical tourism too good to be true?
It was a no-brainer. It was only a third of what it was going to cost me in New Zealand to have the surgery.
Teresa is a helper on the package tour Colleen paid for. She had weight loss surgery in Tijuana a few years ago.
Purely because I couldn't get the surgery done in New Zealand. I didn't make all the criteria.
So you were ineligible in New Zealand?
Yeah.
Publicly?
Yeah, publicly. My doctor was one who said that trying to get it on the New Zealand dime was never going to happen.
Have you managed to benefit from the surgery?
I lost 30 kilos, which I've managed to keep off now for 3.5 years.
Should New Zealanders have to come all this way to get the surgery?
No, we shouldn't. It should be available in New Zealand for everyone without being made to feel like you're a failure.
We've been given access to film on a surgical ward at one of Te Awana's private hospitals, and we're about to meet a surgeon who performs weight loss surgery on New Zealand patients. I want to ask him about the quality of care and how safe it really is. How many patients have you seen since you've been doing bariatric surgery?
Well, from 13 years now, I calculate around 8,000, probably a little bit more.
You perform surgery on 8,000 patients?
Yes, I think. Gastroenterologists, no,
all different.
Yes, all
different. Doctor, how risky is it coming here for surgery? Is it safe to come here?
Yes, it is very safe to come here.
What should people be looking for?
Well, they have to look for the experience of the doctor, that the credentials. That is the most important.
So what you're telling me is that surgery in Te Awana can be safe, but it's important to do your research.
Exactly. You have to do your research because not all the doctors are qualified and not all doctors have the experience.
Why is it so cheap for people to come here compared to other countries like New Zealand?
The economy and in general that all services are not as expensive because all the salaries in general are low.
Well, Colleen has been in hospital for over a day now. We know she's had her surgery, we just don't know how it went. Hello.
Hola.
Hola. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Oh, a little bit tired, you know.
Yeah.
But feeling really good, actually.
How did everything go?
Well, all the post-op tests came back really good.
Yeah. What do you make of this whole experience that you've had here?
It's definitely one that I don't regret doing, you know.
You don't regret it?
No, not at all, yeah.
Yeah.
In less than 24 hours, Colleen will be discharged.
You know, there's so many things that I need to get out and do. And there's too many things I need to do and too many people that love me for me to just sit back and not do anything, you know. Just got to be positive about life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Mitch, well, it looks like you and Colleen really connected over there.
Yeah, look, Paddy, I had a lot to do with Colleen while she was in Mexico. We spent a lot of time together. I'd spoken to her on the phone before she came over. And look, I really got on with her. I really liked her. She was a caring person, really positive, as you saw in that story. So I'm glad that everything went well for her there. Te Awana. Now, I have to tell you about this Mexican city because I went all the way to do this story. I knew it had been called Mecca for medical tourism before, but I didn't quite realise how much this city is thriving on the medical industry. As soon as you drive in, there are signs and billboards everywhere around what procedures you can get. There are hospitals and pharmacies seemingly on every corner of that city. And in the hotel I was staying at, I think there would have been dozens of people there for medical tourism for surgery.
All right, Mitch, thank you very much. Fantastic investigation. My first question to you is, what would you say to someone like Colleen who's heading or headed off to Mexico to get this operation done?
I don't know much about Colleen, but in general, I think it's not a very good idea. I understand why people do it, and the biggest reason for that is probably the lack of accessibility of that kind of surgery in New Zealand.
What could go wrong with getting bariatric surgery over in Mexico?
Well, probably the worst case scenario is a leak. So the surgeon over there, typically they do what's called a laparoscopic sleeve gastrectomy, where you remove most of the stomach, and it's got a little staple line along the edge of the stomach, and sometimes that doesn't heal well. Only in about 1% of people. I'm not sure what the contingencies are for people who have a complication, and all surgeons have complications. It doesn't matter how good you are and how flash your hospital is, and you know, you're there and you have a leak, then what do you do? And where do you go? And who's going to look after you? I have colleagues who've had to deal with that. People arriving back from Mexico or India or Thailand with severe life-threatening complications from bariatric surgery that's been done overseas. Some of them have been lucky to make it back.
Wow, that's a real worry for Kiwis.
that are going there?
I mean, it's only a worry for 1 in 100, but that's about what it is. If you're that 1 in 100, you're in trouble.
Life-threatening trouble?
Life-threatening trouble.
Let's talk about the people who are doing it, because they are desperate if they're going to do something like this.
Yeah, no, totally acknowledge that.
So
they're people that we would love to help here.
So why aren't you helping them here?
I'm a surgeon, I can do one patient at a time, Paddy, you know, so here at Middlemore Hospital, we do more bariatric surgery in the public hospital system than any other public hospital in New Zealand. We're doing our best. We've been smashed by COVID. We haven't been able to do much at all in the last 3 years. We're working hard to get going again and get up to about 150 cases a year. Well, we get 600 referrals a year, roughly, probably more even than that. And we just don't have the resource to do it. Like, we've got 6 surgeons that do bariatric surgery here. All of them do other types of surgery as well. It's a chronically underfunded and underappreciated part of medicine. Like, it's got the stigma around it related to obesity. People who are obese are stigmatised, and it's kind of, I've had the feeling in the healthcare system it's been a sort of, oh, it's nice to do a bit of bariatric surgery, but it's the first thing that goes under the bus when the going gets tough.
And that's on a very strict criteria that Kiwis are saying they can't meet as well. So there's way more beyond that.
It's basically rationing. Like, we know that the 600 people, most of them would benefit from bariatric surgery, but we only can provide 150, so we dream up all of these barriers for people to kind of meet the target that we can achieve.
So those barriers that people are talking to us about, which they say are really impossible to meet in some cases, these, in your words, are sort of been dreamt up or invented because...
It's a form of rationing. But I mean, like, it's something that we have to do. Like, if I wanted to do 600 bariatric cases a year, I couldn't, because the infrastructure isn't there in terms of people and theatres and nurses and hospitals and beds.
Yeah, so you need more funding.
Yeah, and healthcare in New Zealand's been chronically underfunded, and then it's been smashed by COVID. Those are the 2 biggest things, right? So it was on its knees before COVID, and now it's like crawling.